I believe that Bitcoin is heading down somewhere probably south of 50. We could get in the 40s. Sentiment at the bottom will be Bitcoin's time has come and gone. The Bitcoin phenomena is over. I personally think Bitcoin goes above 250.
Hello, welcome back to Cointelegraph's Trade Secrets, our very own crypto markets show here on X. My name is Kieran, I'm your host, and today I'm joined by veteran trader Peter Brandt. Peter, it's great to have you back on the show.
Always good to be with you.
Now, everyone is asking, Peter, at the moment, I know you've been posting a little bit about it to your over 1 million followers on X as well, about where Bitcoin's price is going. So in your eyes, where is the assets price going right now?
Well, I always have to give the caveat. I could be right, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. But I have felt uh, going back many, many months that we would see this bear market in Bitcoin, that we would, yeah, and if you remember correctly, Syrian, in correspondence with you, last year, I predicted a high in Bitcoin within a day or two of October 4th, which we topped. And so I believe that Bitcoin is heading down somewhere probably south of 50. We could get in the 40s. And, we could overshoot. Look, I mean, Bitcoin is a tremendously volatile asset. And so to try to predict the price of Bitcoin, even within 20% of where it might go is that's pretty accurate. But I think Bitcoin heads lower. We come to the point where we get complete capitulation. I mean, heck, we've had precious metals excitement, we've had tech stock excitement. Bitcoin has lost a lot of friends, and so a lot of people have given up on Bitcoin. It's like thinking Bitcoin days are over. So I think Bitcoin bottoms somewhere in early October of this year. So we go down. We may see a bounce first. We could get a $10,000 bounce in Bitcoin somewhere along the line here, but then gradually go down. And so I think that we'll see a low in Bitcoin somewhere in early October. And we will have an opportunity to buy Bitcoin at lower prices than where we're at, possibly into the 40s, high 40s maybe. And then that should be it. If Bitcoin continues to follow some very reliable cycles that it's had since its inception. Of course, that's always the caveat, is you get a well-developed cycle in a market, and that's about the time the cycle changes, which is always the risk. But the Bitcoin cycle has been very, very consistent in many regards, and that would tend to point to me to be a low sometime early October. I'll say October 4th. I'll go out on the limb and say we bottom October 4th. So we'll see.
If you like cutting edge markets alpha, make sure you're subscribed to Cointelegraph's Market Outlook newsletter. Now, I want to hear from you, Peter. Why do you think right now isn't the bottom? A lot of people are saying that, the $60,000 mark, it's starting to hover around this mark. What makes you feel, or just the signs that you're seeing in the market, that it's still got a few more months before it ultimately hits the bottom? What kind of feeling are you getting about this?
Well, I mean, if you go out on Twitter land back when we were 80 and you said, well, Bitcoin's going to 65, Twitter would be filled with comments. I can't wait. I'll have orders there. I'll buy it there. I'll buy it at low 60. I'd love to buy Bitcoin in the low 60s. But I think if you had gone out and said Bitcoin's going to the 40s, you'd have had people say, well, Bitcoin's no good anymore. So I think we go to the point where the hardcore bulls finally give up and just go, the sentiment of the time would not be that we're bottoming here in the 60s. The sentiment at the bottom will be Bitcoin's time has come and gone. the Bitcoin phenomena is over. Bitcoin will never go back up again. So the same people that are saying Bitcoin's bottom at some point in time will be giving up on Bitcoin, throwing in the towel and saying, we're done with Bitcoin. We're going on to other assets. The Bitcoin phenomena is done. Bitcoin no longer. I think we see that negative. Right now, it's neutral. Markets don't bottom on neutral sentiment. Markets bottom on panic and volume, big volume days. So that's what we have ahead of us, if I believe it to be true. Now, maybe 60s will be the bottom, but I think whatever it is, it'll be October, and it could be we rally here and then come back down to generally the levels we've been at here, trying to bottom, but we bounce and we come back down, but we still put that bottom in October, whether it's at these kind of current levels or we crash through and really blow people out and move into the 50s, possibly the high 40s. You have to remember every major bear market in Bitcoin in its history since its inception has been an 80% plus correction. If you take Bitcoin's high in the 120s, that would indicate that consistent with past bear markets, Bitcoin could go into the 20s. I personally do not think that we follow historical precedent on that, simply because I think Bitcoin has become a much more mature asset, will not have the downside volatility it's had in past bear markets.
So, okay, let's say we get to the bottom in October. Where to from there, Peter? Are we going to see all-time highs in 2027? Are we going to finally see that $250,000 mark? What's going to happen then in the following 12 months after we hit that bottom?
Well, people are going to give up on Bitcoin. Personally, I think the story of Bitcoin is it's a store of value. I personally think Bitcoin is a superior store of value, and it ranks up there with gold. Gold and Bitcoin ultimately will co-own the title of the best store of values longer term. Sure, they have cycles, but a long-term store of value. It's a place to place wealth. It's a place to hold wealth, especially during the up cycles. I think that Bitcoin will then go somewhere, and this is a wild guess. At this point, hey, these are wild guesses at this point. I personally think Bitcoin goes above 250. I think Bitcoin tops then in 2029. So we will not see a top in Bitcoin until 2029, probably late summer 2029, 250 to 300.
Do you think people are really going to start to get fed up and bored then? I mean, a lot of people are hoping that if we do